Loyalty, deception, honor, and betrayal. The game begins anew when the epic series Game of Thrones returns. Just one part of your free preview of HBO Max. You'll experience all the must-see originals and the biggest Hollywood movies you won't want to miss. Watch it all anytime. There's nothing else like it. Don't miss a free preview of HBO Max Friday, March 29th until Monday, April 1st. Sign up for HBO and Max and get your first month free. Call 601-8992 or visit cablebahamas.com to subscribe today.
The Minister of Sports apologizes for Carifta glitches.
It certainly won't happen again.
We discuss corporal punishment in government schools.
There must be levels of discipline.
Plus, Bahamian women encouraged to get tested early for breast cancer.
And identifying populations that are at high risk.
I'm Nakia DeVoe, and this is NB12 Weekend. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us this Saturday for NB12 Weekend. Sports Minister Dr. Danny Johnson apologizing to international media, sports officials, and athletes for any challenges they may have experienced during last weekend's Carifta Track and Field Championships. But most importantly, the minister is hoping to clear up any perception that the Jamaican team was not warmly received by Bahamians.
On behalf of the people of the Bahamas, the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture, we really wish to apologize to our media partners, some of our international media guests, for some misinterpretations and misgivings on the weekend, where we didn't have the accommodation, the accreditation, and just the appropriate appointments ready for them. We tried to sort it out during the course of the weekend. It was slow in coming. I wished we had performed a little better on that side. And we really extend an offer to them to come and see me again personally, and we'll do our best to make it better. It certainly won't happen again.
His apology came after international media blasted local Carifta organizers for being disorganized, not providing accreditation on time, and subpar media areas. Halfway into day one of the games, a journalist posted an online article titled, "Journalist Finding Things Hard at Carifta Games in Bahamas." Johnson said, moving forward, accreditation will be ready 3 months ahead of major events. But what concerned the minister most was an article published in the Jamaica Gleaner last week, where Jamaica's head coach claimed his athletes were targeted and treated unfairly while in the Bahamas. Several Jamaicans residing in the Bahamas also called our newsroom to say they were not pleased with some of the comments made to and about the Jamaican athletes by Bahamian spectators. And while Johnson chalked it up to a friendly sports rivalry, he said all Caribbean countries could improve on how they treat each other.
The way we treat other people in the Caribbean is questionable. And so this is another point for us as a host country. And this was the point of the games, is a celebration of Caribbean unity. And so those were some of the weak points in this. That's a part of sports. We want to keep it at a minimum. But that does come up in the sporting world when you go to someone else's home court and they'll do some hard talk to you. And we once again apologize if that was misinterpreted. We have no problem with our Jamaican counterparts. We congratulate them for their performances at the games.
Jamaican coach David Riley said several of the athletes were tested continuously and some were tested as early as 5:30 a.m. during the games. He said the testing did not appear to be random. The Bahamas Anti-Doping Commission said the officers who performed the tests acted in fairness and acted in accordance with the rules and guidelines. Johnson also responded to those allegations.
We had WADA, which is the Anti-Doping Federation, and they test the first 3 winners of events randomly. Well, I mean, Jamaica won 69 medals, and so I would think they would have the majority of tests done, so that was an issue. There is a great colleague of mine who actually is of Jamaican descent, who is one of the chief doping officers here who handled that very well for them, and I think they were comfortable with that.
The article also said the team arrived in New Providence after midday last Thursday, but was not assigned rooms until nearly midnight. There were also complaints that some athletes were put in nicer hotels than others. Johnson said the government is working on an athlete's hotel to ensure that everyone receives the same treatment. Well, there was also scathing criticism of the Bahamas telecommunications company during the games, as journalists were without internet service during the first half of the meet, just days after firing back and stressing that BTC was never drafted to provide internet accommodations. VP of Communications and Marketing Marlon Johnson explained what future event organizers must do if they want internet in specific areas of the stadium.
One of the learnings from this exercise as we go forward is to tell any planning committee is to be a little bit more, aggressive and saying, guys, please let us know what you want, or even to do a disclaimer. We don't want to get to that point where we have to start disclaiming activities, but we really can't engage and provide a solution that wasn't asked for. We're having an event coming up. That issue won't arise because the process would have been followed through by the promoters of the event to make it happen.
During the games, the company provided free Wi-Fi services to the first 1,500 spectators who accessed it. But Johnson said that was a special promotion and not a request from the National Sports Authority. There were also complaints that journalists as well as spectators had poor phone service during the games. Well, Johnson previously pointed out that congestion is a major factor at all stadiums around the world. BTC erected a new cell tower in the area of a government high school to accommodate the large number of people in the stadium last week, but even with that, there was congestion. Johnson says BTC plans to meet with the National Sports Authority to discuss how to equip the stadium for future international events.
The solution to that is to do a proper in-building solution, where you actually deploy your cell sites inside the body of the stadium. And that's something that we'd have to work with the stadium authority to see if there's a business case that would allow it. As you get more and more events, and that will sort of justify that kind of expenditure on their part and our part, then that's the kind of solution that we go to that can cure that kind of situation. And that's what some stadiums around the world have done, actually put in commercial mobile solutions at a cost. In order to enable that kind of environment.
Well, in other news, police are on the hunt for 9 men responsible for 3 separate armed robberies since yesterday. The first happened just before noon when a man and woman were robbed of cash and jewelry by 3 gunmen on arrival at a Warwick Street residence. In the second incident, a man was robbed by 2 gunmen when he arrived at his home on Price Street around 11:50 yesterday. And just hours later, a man was robbed of his black 2002 Honda Civic. 4 males, one of them allegedly armed, approached the man when he arrived at his home in Linden Pindling Estates around 1:20 this morning. Now, these incidents come after a string of armed robberies last weekend. Police reported 9 armed robberies from last Saturday to Monday. According to police, there were 4 armed robberies last Saturday, 3 on Sunday, and 2 on the Monday holiday. Most of the incidents happened when the victims were either arriving or leaving home. Police have recently warned people to be vigilant when approaching or leaving their homes, especially late at night or early in the morning. Well, corporal punishment is still pretty much a hot-button topic across the region, especially in the Bahamas, where school violence has escalated. But few realize that it's still a viable form of discipline in public schools throughout the country. And while there have been calls to end it in the past, head of the Bahamas Educators Managerial Union, Charles Wildgoose, says it should be used only as a last resort. Our Jasmine Bonamy has the details in this report.
For years, corporal punishment has been used as a form of discipline in public schools, but one official says he'd like to see that punishment used less. Wildgoose, who heads the union which oversees 400 principals, vice principals, senior masters, and mistresses from across the country, says corporal punishment is still used in public schools. He adds that principals can delegate the use of corporal punishment to vice principals and senior masters or mistresses.
There is a student disciplinary manual that administrators are authorized to follow in dealing with students. And the principal, who is the chief manager, education manager in the school, the principal, she is allowed to delegate some of her responsibilities to her junior officers. Now, corporal punishment is a part of this. but there is provision in the Safe School Manual for certain things that should be adhered to in carrying out corporal punishment. The kind of cane or that you might use to spank a student, the length, the thickness, and the manual suggests the administrator should use constraint, reasonable constraint. And of course, it suggests that female students should be disciplined by female administrators and male students likewise by male administrators. So it's in the manual. Unfortunately, it's not always adhered to by administrators. Sometimes they may go overboard, and I'm not talking about anything in specific, but we administrators are humans.
But Wildgoose, who was the senior master at R.M. Bailey for 18 years, adds that from his experience, beating a child should not be the first choice.
There should be stages and levels in imposing discipline. You start off with the one-on-one discussion with the student. Like I said, depend on what he does, one-on-one, and then if he repeats it, he or she repeats it, then you send for the parent and you have a discussion with the parent. And then you go after that. There must be levels of discipline, and bearing in mind, they should always bear in mind the welfare of the child and the welfare of the school system.
Wildgoose insists there should be several levels of discipline as every situation is different, but he says a key component is involving parents. Reporting for NB12, I'm Jasmine Bonamy.